Hey guys, we are absolutely delighted. We're keeping it moving. Dr. Ed Womack, the Urban Leadership Strategist, standing here with the amazing Dr. Anita Green, the grief counselor, specialist, the grief doctor. And so help the Love Fest people understand, because obviously if we're at the Stop the Violence, Stop Incarceration event, chances are most of the people that are out there at some point in time have had to deal with grief. And so you are the cure for somebody's grief headache, I'm supposing. So I'm gonna let you put it into your own words. What does the grief doctor actually do?
Well, the Grief Doctor is a grief consulting firm. It's called the Grief Circle. And what I do is I minister and I help counsel those who are going through grief. The main time that we think that we go through grief is when we lose somebody because they died or, because they were killed or something. But there are other ways that we deal with grief. And when we lose our home and we lose our jobs and we lose those material things. But what I specialize in is when someone actually deals with the grief from the loss of a loved one.
And as one might imagine, if you're watching this broadcast or watching this replay, that obviously with the Love Fest, Stop the Violence and Incarceration, there has to be even not only just a physical loss through death, but if someone's incarcerated for an extended period of time, oftentimes that's almost like death. So when you're dealing with someone going through any of those situations, what's kind of the first thing, because I'm sure it happens in stages, what's one of the first things that you have to do in order to be able to connect with those people in the cycle of grief?
Well, first thing we have to do is understand that we are grieving. And sometimes we don't understand that we're grieving because we go through so many actions and we do things and we say things. But once we identify that we're grieving, then we have to look at the steps of grief, which are anger, denial, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And the important key is that when we go through the stages of grief, is that we don't get stuck in a particular stage. We want to be able to move through the stages of grief so that we don't get stuck. And when we're stuck in particular stages of grief, that means we deal with and we suffer with, especially in the African American community, we suffer with mental illness, we suffer with depression, and ultimately sometimes we suffer with suicide. We go through bouts of suicide and talk about killing ourselves and that. So we want to understand that when we go through the stages of grief, that we know that we have to move through them. But the other important part is to make sure that we surround ourselves with those who understand that we are grieving and will help get us through those stages so we don't become stuck.
Whew. That was powerful. Did y'all feel that? Did y'all feel that right there? I mean, sometimes we don't even know if we're grieving. That's pretty significant because I observe, and I'm sure you have as well, where people are walking around here don't know really what's going on, why it's going on, and it could very well be that they're in the process of grieving and don't even know it.
Right, and that's why it's important, like I said in the beginning, to understand that we are going through grief. And when we don't understand, not only do the mental illness and depression and sickness, everything, but then we do things that will create a violent atmosphere, that we put ourselves in situations where we do things and we lash out. And when we lash out, it's because people don't understand and we don't understand what we're going through.
The absence of understanding will cause you friction. It will cause you turmoil, turbulence in the midst of your relationships. So, grief doctor, if you had to give a piece of advice to someone sitting out there in the Love Fest audience that has gone through a loss of incarceration, that's gone through a situation where they really don't understand how to even reach out to somebody, what would you say to them?
Well, two things. First, pray. And second, always find somebody that can help you go through your grieving process. A counselor, a therapist, which in the African American community we stay away from because we don't want people to think that something's really wrong with us. But partnership, even if it's not a counselor or a therapist, find someone in your church, find a pastor, find someone whom you trust that will talk with you and help you through your process.
My. Guys, this was absolutely phenomenal. So how can people that may be encountering or about to go into or might already be in the midst of a grief situation, how can they connect with you?
Well, you can contact me, www.anitagreen.org, or you may call me at 404-713-4736.
Hey guys, we are absolutely delighted to have Dr. Anita Green with us, the grief doctor, y'all. And we about to exchange business cards because I may just need to give Dr. Green a call. I know a few people that might have something going on. God bless you so much, and thank you for what you do. And we'll see you at the next Love Fest, I'm assuming? All right, awesome, guys.